Hi, and welcome to the Stock Scores Market Minutes for July 16th, 2018. This week's topic, do you dream of being a trader? Then my regular weekly market analysis and the trade of the week on LFVN. So, do you dream of being a trader? Well, let me tell you that dreamers are gamblers. They are not traders. You have to stop dreaming and start making it happen. Make successful trading your goal, not your dream. You see, goal seekers have a systematic plan to achieve success. Dreamers hope they will make it, and they really don't have a plan. They focus on the finish line. They focus on the money, on all the things that they will buy when they are a successful trader, instead of focusing on the process to get there. Trading is simple, but it is not easy. It takes hard work, determination, and you have to have a plan. So stop dreaming and start seeking your goal. This is the 30-day, 60-minute chart of the S&P 500. And you can see that we are just creeping through resistance on Friday. We've got an upward trend line. And so it looks to me like this market wants to go higher. Unless we break that upward trend line, I would be fairly bullish of the market right now. On to the weekly chart. We broke the downward trend line back here. We've been sort of chopping around a lot. It's been kind of a choppy trading environment, but now we're starting to get through that resistance. Not a lot of upside because we're going to have to peak out there, but I think really what's happening is we are just going to continue in this long-term upward sloping channel, and ignoring this little bit of parabolic action there, we should grind our way higher inside that channel. The Russell 2000, this is the daily chart, it really didn't keep up with the large cap stocks. It feels like the small caps are taking a bit of a break right now. They had a pretty good run here. We're getting some chop, but that's building a base. This is building an ascending triangle pattern, and hopefully that will build for a breakout later on. Onto the TSX, speaking of breakouts, it broke through to new highs this week. And although it's fairly choppy, it is in an optimistic market where there are rising bottoms. Looks a little more important on the weekly chart because there we have that line of resistance and the breakout through it from a cup and handle pattern, and that should resolve with more upside in the weeks ahead. TSX Venture, dead money here. People aren't too interested in the spec market in Canada. The mining market is relatively soft because, of course, the prices for gold is soft, and there's just not a lot of action in the TSX Venture, and so generally speaking, a market left avoided. Treasuries are bouncing off of having made that bounce off support, are moving higher and are creeping up through some resistance. Probably up into here is the next stop, and that means interest rates going lower unless the upward trend line, this tiny little upward trend line, is broken. I would be bullish on bonds near term. US dollar had a weak 2 weeks ago, but it actually recovered a little bit. So we're getting some uncertainty, choppy trading at the highs here. That's not bad. If we slowly build a base, then the US dollar can break higher and start to recover even more lost ground. So it's kind of it's a bullish chart, but it's uncertain, and so therefore I'd be somewhat cautious with being too bullish on the US dollar. Gold fell off with that bounce back in the US dollar this week, remains in a downward trend. It is fairly oversold. It tried to take back some of those losses, really didn't get very far, and now we're threatening to break to new lows yet again. So generally I want to avoid the gold market and gold stocks. On oil, well, I talked about this in recent weeks, that the market had rallied to the top of the channel, and that meant it was likely to see some profit taking. We saw some big profit taking one day this week. It does not break the upward sloping channel. We're simply stuck in it and really have the potential for more low prices, but because we're in the middle of the channel, we can just as easily go up. It's in an upward trend. We just got a little bit of volatility as the market digests the recent gains. And finally, the fear chart falling off again this week and continues to be in a downward trend at support. Let's see if it breaks down and through that support level. I think it could still have a couple days of volatility that bump it up, but the general trend is that fear is dissipating. So my ratings then: bullish on both time frames for US stocks, bullish on both time frames for Canadian stocks. Gold, neutral long-term, bearish short-term. Oil, bullish long-term, neutral short-term, as it seems to try to reconcile some of the recent gains. Stocks continue to overcome negative headlines and trend higher. However, investors are still nervous, making volatility high. We see that with a lot of up and down action in the market. Now, Canadian stocks have broken through the long-term resistance and they should trend higher. Gold remains weak and is fighting to hold support. Oil pulling back, but relatively healthy long-term, and fear is falling. So for this week's trade of the week, I thought I would show you a trade from my longer-term application of the stock scores action candle. I often talk about the action candle as a day trading tool on the 2-minute chart, but we can apply it to really any time frame. And this demonstrates applying it to a daily time frame. Of course, the pink dots are the action candle. And right there, we had an action candle breaking from low volatility, from optimism, and look at the gains out of that. When there is an action candle, it's really telling us that something is going on in the market. And when it happens from the right kind of pattern, it will often lead to good market-beating trends. If you want to learn more about that, take a look in the trader training area of stockscores.com. I've got some videos in there that will go into some more detail about the different courses that we offer and how you can learn more. Hope that you've enjoyed this week's video. To learn, there's the address right there to learn more about the Stock Scores approach to trading, stockscores.com/learn. Hope that you've enjoyed the video. If so, click on that like button, subscribe, and most importantly, have a great week in the market and trade well.